Welcome back. As I plug in my headset, welcome back. I'm Adam Osland. This is a Clippers Talk Live coming at you. As I just woke up a little bit ago after getting to bed far too late. Thanks to you guys on the chat, on the live chat. Clippers Talk After Dark late last night. Clippers come back down 26. Still basking in the afterglow of this one. Third biggest comeback in regular season franchise history, at least since 97-98. When they started, I think, tracking these things. And it happened to get their first win in Intuit Dome, a 26-point comeback. Anything more on brand for this Clippers team? That's what Ivica Zubac said at postgame. This is the Clippers way. It's not going to be easy. They're going to have to fight. They're going to have to be down. They're going to have to find a way to come back and win. That's what this team does. I mean, that was as exciting of a comeback, as loud of a comeback as I've ever heard for this squad. Because Intuit Dome gets like that. Kaylee said, "Hey, Adam, time for some morning coffee, eh?" You're right. The Folger soldier, as Brian Seaman would say. I could use some. My morning coffee happens to be a Diet Mountain Dew. That's where I'm at with it. This Clippers team, though, could not be more proud of the way they played. Just incredible. I was as disheartened as anyone in that first quarter, down 26, because defensively it looked like they had broke. They had given in. The defense wasn't even there. There was so much going wrong at once that I was afraid that this was the turning point where, Coach Lou's going to have to go deep into his bench, say, okay, Jordan Miller or Bones Highland, can somebody bring some energy here? But instead, he trusted the five-man unit that had lost them the fourth quarter against OKC that nobody wanted to see again. I did, because I've been paying attention to the numbers with them, and they had been really good outside of one stint. They were winning them ball games. Against Golden State, against Denver, they don't win without them. So for him to go back to KPJ, Amir Coffey, Chris Dunn, Nicholas Batum, and Ivica Zubac, and those be the guys that lead them back and go on a 16-2 run to start the second quarter, where I don't think in that quarter, by the time the opposition got to 10 points, by the time San Antonio got to 10 points in the second quarter, there was like 2 minutes left in the half. Fideto Light said, "Gritty and dramatic win in this Clippers way." And it was the backups. The backups got it done. The same crew, the same five-man unit that everybody was getting on, absolutely stepped up. In fact, I want to look at their lineup data for the season now. Because, okay, after their first three games, the Clippers five-man unit of KPJ, of Chris Dunn, of Amir Coffey, of Nico Batum, that five-man unit with Ivica Zubac, coming out of the first three games where they were 2-1, they were a plus 10 in 14 minutes. I want to see what they're at now. After having one bad stint where they got beat by 10 in 5 minutes against OKC, but then last night they went plus 19 in 9 minutes, that backup five-man unit. I got it for you right here. In 40 minutes so far, and they've played them in all 7 games, they're a +9. That 5-man unit is at 51% from the floor and 44% from 3 when they're out there, and they've gone +9 overall in 40 minutes. That's impressive. Ray's making the coffee jokes too. Wait, we're back up. Adam must have had some strong coffee. Yeah, something like that. As you can see, I haven't done my morning eye cream routine yet. Sicko mode activated. Everybody that was in last night, Clippers Talk After Dark, you guys are right back up. I love it. MKX LNT. We got work to do. I know there's a lot going on today, but we're 7 days a week here. And that was as good of a victory as I have seen in a long time, regular season-wise, from this team. And it was the first at Intuit Dome. Couldn't be more appropriate that their first win comes in this fashion. A 26-point comeback. Third biggest ever in the regular season by this team. I love seeing that fight. I love seeing them reestablish themselves as that gritty team that's going to come back, that's going to find a way. That's what I needed. The comeback clips are confirmed. They are back. Deathstroke says, "What's up, bro?" What's up, bro? Kaylee said, "I'm very tired of the talk of who starts and ends games. Coach Lou showed that a fluent rotation and look into who is hot is where it's at. I love that Amir Coffey stayed in after his hot streak." To close. I mean, he's been going with the guys. Whoever has Amir's been closing most games because he's been a more willing shooter than Terrence Mann. I think the only 2 games Terrence Mann has closed were both games against Phoenix, which he was good. What I don't like about the starter thing, and I get it to an extent. It's a storyline, it's something to talk about. But what's much more important is who closes. Who starts does not determine who plays the most minutes. Terrence Mann didn't play more minutes than Chris Dunn or Amir Coffey. So I think Coach Lou has a pretty good feel for the game, how it's going, and how to make those adjustments with rotations and lineups, guys. After all, his peers vote him every single year the best in-game adjuster. Not Clippers fans, because there's too many people that don't give Coach Lou his love. His peers, actual coaches, GMs, people who know, I'd say that's pretty high praise. No Laughing Matter said, "How would you evaluate Chris Dunn?" I said he was my new favorite Clipper when they brought him in. Nothing's changed there because he's got that dog in him. He's a badass. He's tough. He establishes that defensive identity and is a constant reminder of how you have to play, because when you see a guy, a teammate out there laying it out, going for that loose ball where Chris Paul was called for the offensive foul against him, when you see a guy playing that hard, it permeates throughout the team. It's infectious, that intensity from him. And they're a good defensive team, but they weren't playing like it early. I'm telling you, that wasn't just their offense that was miserable in the first quarter. Maybe their offense, I think, was affecting their defense, but I didn't like seeing that. That was scary to me because it hadn't so far this season, but it was in the first quarter. It can't moving forward. If you're not making shots, that doesn't mean you let up on the defensive end. That means you dig your heels in more and get stops until your offense clicks back in and you make a run. And that first quarter was very worrisome to me because I felt like their offense broke their defense. Chris Dunn is a savage. Nicknamed Smoke. We like to call him Rough Rider because I made the mix with him getting into some fights with DMX. Carlo Jimenez was like Rough Rider. Let's call him that. Ray said Chris goes for every 50-50 play, diving on the ground or crashing the board. So much heart. More heart than Last of the Mohicans. I love guys like that because I've always been a fan of the Doug Christies, the Bruce Bowens, the guys who love guarding, want to guard, and want to take the challenge, want to guard the best player. Marcus Smart types, Tony Allen types. Those are the guys that do the little things that win you ball games and rarely ever are negative out there. Timothy said, I think it's time to play small ball. Kai Jones hasn't made any influence into games outside the first game against the Suns. To be fair, he hasn't gotten a lot of run. He had a big block again. But, I don't know what Kai Jones fans were expecting either. I think he has been fine. I don't think he's lost them games. He's a backup center getting 10 minutes at most. Ray said, I didn't see DJ that much in the second half. Hope he didn't injure his shoulder. Some people said they met him post-game and he was okay. I don't know what to make of that. Derrick Jones Jr. was at 21 minutes, 47 seconds entering the fourth. So he didn't play in the fourth quarter, Derrick Jones Jr. After, I think it was a play where he went at, I'll check my notes here, but he made this fantastic hustle play in the third quarter, guys. I love Derrick Jones Jr. He had a big three in the third also. After a miss, it was a Zubac rebound who got it to him. But let me see if I can find that Derrick Jones Jr. play. Yeah, he saved a bad pass from Harden that went into the backcourt. And then he just went, reckless abandon at the rim. And Wemby contested the shot, and he fell down, and he was holding his shoulder afterwards. So I am aware of that situation. But then he attacked the basket for a dunk a few minutes later as they went small to bring Wemby away from the paint. Really smart by Coach Lue because it's the start of the third quarter. Zoo was blocked by Wemby. He was looking somewhat ineffective. And so Coach Lue went with Nico. They went small. It was Harden, Derrick Jones Jr., Batum, Amir, and Norm. And they spread out and brought Wemby out from the paint because he had to guard on the perimeter. Derrick Jones Jr. got a dunk. Amir Coffey got a three as they were conceding some switches on small pick and roll stuff. I just love that coaching job by Coach Lue. Tom Merrick joked post-game. He said, so, was the key getting down 26? Timothy's still talking about Kobe or Miller to go small when they just did it with Batum. Guys, they just won without those two guys, and they have a small ball lineup without them. You're saying to not play Kai Jones anymore, period. Well, I would hope Batum gets more run, but I understand he's an older player. He's about to turn 36. So we'll see. Jonathan Ing said, I just saw this. I'm here to listen since I couldn't watch the game last night. Glad to see the Clippers came out with a win. People still stuck on the same thing. T-Man needs to sit and Coffey needs to start ASAP. It's just amazing. If T-Man has a big game and hits 5 3-pointers next, you guys are going to say, okay, let's not do that. It's one game. I am old enough to remember Terrence Mann shooting 44% his last 50 games from three last season and completely outplaying Amir Coffey in that playoff series against Dallas, where Amir got benched for PJ Tucker in a must-win Game 6. Look, if it happens, cool. I'm fine with it. If Terrence Mann isn't going to look at the basket like he wasn't and turning down shots, I was watching him closely. I think it was early third quarter where I was just really disappointed. He wasn't even looking at the basket. Man hasn't been good enough, aggressive enough. They have Chris Dunn. They have Amir Coffey. If they want to make the change, they can. I'm just going to remind you that Amir Coffey, the last 2 games before this, everyone was saying get him out of the lineup. In fact, I was getting tweets from people early in the game saying stop playing Amir Coffey. How about that? That same guy said, I regret my coffee take. But Porter does not pass. Man has been essentially getting benched for Dunn, which is what I want. Porter had 7 assists. He had his best game probably. Kevin Porter Jr. had 7 assists. Derek Jones Jr. had a meet the player interview after the game. He was all smiles, didn't seem bothered. MKXLNT said that. Deathstroke said, when Mo gets back, he won't play, guys. Just relax. But I thought Kai Jones was going to take Ivica Zubac's job. Is that not happening anymore? Or is that just something on Clippers Reddit? Timothy said, Batum, Dunn, Coffey, KPJ, Kai are minus 28 net rating. How many minutes is that? I feel the game got going in the second quarter with Batum at the 5. Yeah, but you're talking about Miller and Kobe. You're just saying if they still want a 10-man rotation, they take Kai out. Miller or Kobe then gets in. I mean, Batum is Batum. Like, I'm not surprised that Kai has struggled at times. He's also been okay at times against backup centers. The game, game 1, I think he was solid against Mason Plumlee. He was solid against Phoenix the second game, too. Ray said it's a long season. Our young guys will get their chance. We have to establish winning habits and maintain them for a long sample size. Agree with that. Last night, only 10 turnovers, only 2 in the fourth quarter. Winning habit. Sarah Sheed said, did you think Harden looked checked out in the first half? He needs to take more shots. I thought he looked gassed, honestly. I thought he looked bad. But while his offense wasn't there and his defense was bad at times, he had the 3 deflection possession that was really impressive. That showed you that he was still battling. And he talked about it post-game, saying he didn't want to give up. He didn't want to look like a liability out there, basically, on the defensive end. He wanted to make sure he was giving the same effort everybody else was, even though a lot more was asked of him on offense. Timothy said, yeah, basically take out Kai and plug in Kobe or Miller and play 5. We'll see. We'll see what happens. G Master Funk Flex said, this is our year. I can feel it. It's just the start of the season. Our year for what? Is this Will Updike or G Master Funk Flex? Our year for what? Yeah, Timothy said, is this Will's account? Explain our year. They're 3-4. Oh, by the way, apparently the Sixers want Embiid to play on Wednesday as long as he doesn't get suspended for pushing the reporter who probably had it coming. G-Master said it's not Will. I think so. Our year. What do you mean exactly by our year? Appreciate you all in here. This is a Clippers Talk Live after the morning after their 26-point comeback. I hope you all are drinking some coffee. Ray said the year of the wall. Nova Rider said, look, I get the argument of patience, but this team isn't good enough to survive team-man slow starts. Here's the thing. The first 8 minutes with the starters in first quarters, outside of last night, they've been a plus 35 in first quarters. So to act like T-Man is hurting them that much, they came into last night's game winning first quarters by a total of plus 35 so far in the season, 6 games in. So to act like he's killing them, it's just not true. KPJ having 7 assists is fool's gold, in my opinion. Has way too much of a usage rating, to be honest. Let Miller play. I get that opinion, but he just had his best game. He has slowly gotten better. His first 2 games were abysmal. Game 3, still pretty bad. And then he's kind of turned things a little bit. Looking for guys more, hitting more shots. Still struggling from 3, but Timothy said, can we snitch on Embiid so he doesn't play? I mean, I think it's pretty circulated, that report of him pushing the reporter who said ridiculous things about his deceased brother. And I get it. I wouldn't play with that either. G Master Funkflex said the Clips will be at least the number 6 seed at the end. Boom. Okay. G Master put his name on it. That's his prediction. I said before the year, somewhere 6 through 10. It depends on Kawhi's health. They still need to get 6 guys. They're going to need at least 50 games from Kawhi. Period. Ray said, let's effing go. I want to see an angry zoo face Embiid. John McClain's back in. Yippee-ki-yay, Adam. You replaced me for Mother Effer or Mr. Falcon. If you ever watched it on TV back in the day, they'd replace Mother Effer with Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon. What? Why wouldn't they have just bleeped it? Jonathan Ing said, our year to get our draft pick. LOL. We'd like that. Stay ahead of Houston. Make the pick swap. OKC taking Houston's pick instead of the Clippers. That would be a successful season in a lot of ways. Jeremy Mormon said, I think Wembanyama's size just spooked the Clippers, you think? Which led to the slow start. T-Man and Derrick Jones Jr. eat around the rim. This was just a bad matchup. Here's why I disagree with that. Wemby was taken out 3 minutes in the first quarter. It wasn't the Wemby minutes that they were getting killed in to start the game, my friend. This is why Coach Lou was like, did you watch the game the other night to that reporter? It's like, it sounds like some people don't watch the game sometimes and are just narrative hunting. Wemby got taken out early in the game. They made the run without Wemby in the first quarter. This is why you got to watch. I mean, I'll give you the exact time of when Wemby came out. Victor Wembanyama was subbed out. Let's see. I think when it was like 17-10. Yeah, Zach Collins came in. It's 14-7. They're down 7. 7:35 mark. They made the run without Wemby. G Master Funkflex said, do you know what Ty Lue wants from KPJ? CT man. Nova Ryder said, I meant to start the season, not to start games. They've been fine starting games, but there are still real issues with man on the court, especially later in games. He's not playing later in games, so that doesn't make sense. When he doesn't start, he doesn't fit. When he doesn't start off by playing well, he hasn't been finishing games. He's not playing in the fourth quarter. So I don't know what you're talking about, Nova. Seems like you got caught slipping there because I brought up the actual plus-minus rating. They were a plus 35 in first quarters coming into this or last night's game. Through 6 games, they were a plus 35. They were winning first quarters. The first quarter wasn't a problem. The second quarter and fourth quarter, big problem. She said, guaranteed. The Charles Barkley guarantee. Guarantee. Timothy said, my issue with KPJ is he got a very high usage rating. You're telling the guy that told everyone that he had the highest usage rating in the league of anyone who had played 50 minutes. I'm aware. I am well aware. Dunn is a sneaky good playmaker and he could get some touches. I'm also aware of who Chris Dunn is as a player. He can play some traditional point guard here and there. Let's see what KPJ's usage rating is at now. I'm interested in this. Okay, I think it has dropped over the last few games. the last two, because he did before the last two games, before the game against OKC, Kevin Porter Jr. had a usage rating of 34%, which was the highest usage rating in the league for anyone who had played at least 50 minutes. Now it's down to 30%. So it's been going down the last two games, guys. It's no longer the highest. Let's see where it goes from here. Ray said 6th seed would be great. I really want to experience the playoffs at our new home. Plus, we'll have watch parties at the outdoor plaza. Man, that'd be great. Alfredo Rodriguez said, hello, everyone. Hi, Adam. Hi, Alfredo. Ray said, but man has been getting benched in most of the second halves. That's what I'm saying. We're reacting to everyone's performances appropriately. I didn't say no minutes in the second half. I said down the stretch. You said later in games. He's still starting third quarters. Yes. I'm not being incredibly funny with this. I'm being incredibly accurate with this. Get on my level, Nova. Timothy said, I swear man was aggressive in 2021-2022 season, but probably because he was comfortable playing next to Isaiah Hartenstein and Luke. Maybe the coaching staff with that was asking more out of him. They were a plus 35 heading into last night's game. I never said he's playing strictly first quarter minutes. Way to mischaracterize my argument. This is what everybody does on here. Can anyone be fair and balanced on a day where we're having a damn election in this country and we can't have a conversation here on Clippers Talk Live without somebody misrepresenting an argument? Bro, I never said that. No one said he's only playing first quarter minutes. Man. Alfredo said this is hard to describe, but the Clippers play more focused against lesser teams or lulled days when Amir Coffey is on. He literally wakes the team up, not like an Energizer Bunny, though. I don't know. It's funny, guys. I wasn't here the last two games from Amir Coffey. I'm old enough to remember the last two games before last night when people were saying, get Amir Coffey out. What does he do for this team? When he was playing very little minutes and didn't look great. Prisoner of the moment. Against OKC, Amir Coffey, 20 minutes, 1 of 2, 4 points, minus 16 out there. It's amazing how quick people flip in one game. Amir Coffey, the second game against Phoenix, 10 minutes, 2 of 3, 7 points. He gets 21 and everyone starts losing their minds. I don't know. I can't take. Re-rolling said, LOL, me in line to vote right now. Can we just be accurate? Jonathan Inks said, man, isn't playing in fourth quarters as a byproduct of his lack of aggressiveness and passing up shots. When man is passing up shots, it hampers the spacing. I think the only two fourth quarters where he's gotten significant run is the games he played well against Phoenix. He's good at guarding Booker. Go with the guys. Dance with the ones that brought you there. It was Amir Coffey. It was Chris Dunn. Now Nova Ryder wants to backpedal like Deion Sanders, say later in games does not mean closing games. Later in games does not directly mean closing games. So wouldn't you be mischaracterizing my argument? No, actually, you're leaving it open to be characterized in that way by saying later in games. If you're not being that specific, I can take that and put it wherever I want. Later in games, most people are going to think that means fourth quarter, my guy, with the way you've expressed yourself here. I'm sorry. People get caught and then they want to backpedal and act like that's not what they said. Holo Dolo said, Harden driving kicks in the fourth quarter gave me life. I think that was the direct result of him having less tired legs because bench played well. Maybe. Remember Coach Lou also, he was up at the scorer's table. He was about to come back in. Coach Lou said, no, let's wait. Let them cook. Then Harden came in. He said, nah, Coffey was getting heavily criticized. I'm not sure which game it was, but he didn't swing a pass to Norm. Yep. When it was a close game, probably against the Blazers, might have been. Y'all forgot. Y'all forgot. Timothy didn't. Everybody acting like Coffey's been doing this every game. That's not true. Jonathan Ing said Man is a better defender, but Amir isn't too far behind defensively. I don't think he's very far behind at all, but he is getting the shots up. That is what people need to remember. Amir is positively helping with the spacing. Agree. We Roland said, thank you, Ray. Always. Raul Perez said, how are the diet soda withdrawals? So I'm down to one a day in the morning. I seem a little bit extra snappy. Oh, you're calling me out? This is the first one I've opened that I've cracked. Jonathan Ing said, I got to defend Amir with the Amir haters. Nova Rider said, most people, that's not an actually fair argument whatsoever. You are now saying I'm backpedaling for you misconstruing what I said. I didn't misconstrue anything. You said later in games. If you say later in games, people are naturally going to think during big minutes later in games, not just third quarter stints. If you don't like it, my man, you can get a timeout. Some people can't handle it. Like, you expose a bad argument and they just go, well, wait a second. It's just like, come on. We all know what you meant. We all know. You're going after man. You're stuck in this fixated, why is he starting thing? I bring up how they were plus 35 in first quarters, 6 games in. Then you start backpedaling, shifting to something else. You're moving goalposts. It's just, I ain't got time for it today. Not an election day. Jonathan Ing said, Amir had one bad play, just one bad play. Maybe. He wasn't great the last couple of games, Jonathan. He wasn't. To the fact that everybody's acting like this is what Amir Coffey always does. And it's like, well, no. He doesn't always go 5 of 6 from 3 and have 21 points. Ray said, how about that scary play where Norm drove into the paint? Looked like he was about to get blocked again by Wemby, and Powell managed to launch the ball back into the perimeter. That one I don't remember as much. Ray said last few seasons he wasn't making those passes. I don't know. He's pretty good with those little wraparound passes near the basket. That is a strength of his. C said timeout brewing. LOL. Prophetic. There was one. If you're going to be so overly argumentative, Nova, and just when you just got called out. I mean, everybody knew what you were talking about. John McClain said, be careful with the soda, Adam. You won't want to wet your... Like, just because one time I had to use a water bottle in my car because I was stuck in traffic for almost 3 hours coming back from the game and I already had to go, doesn't mean that happens to me all the time. I'm not wearing my pull-up Huggies. I'm a big kid now. Timothy said, at this stage of the season, you got to look at roster and see who's impacting games to win games. I could probably name 7 to 8 guys out of the 10-player rotation. I'd say at this stage of the season, there's never more of a time to give more players a look and not draw too much out of 7 games this stage of the season. We're not 30 games in. We're not 50 games in. We're not 60 games in. Stage of the season, it's early. This is when you should probably give guys a little extended run to see what they have. Thank goodness Coach Lou didn't go away from that 5-man lineup that won them the game that everyone brought out the pitchforks and torches for after the OKC game. Coach Lou showed resolve, belief, didn't give in to the angry mob. Holo Dolo said, we have been running Nico at the 5 and going small instead of Kai in the second halves. Yeah, you're right. It's been working out because Nico enables entry passes to Zoo and ball moves a lot faster. It hasn't always worked out, is my point, though. They got beat in those minutes against Phoenix. I think they got beat in those small ball minutes against OKC, not by a huge margin, but they got beat. So it hasn't always worked, my guy. It worked last night. See, people love to draw these long-reaching conclusions out of one game. And some of those small ball lineups have definitely not worked at times. Here you go. I have the data right here. Nico Batum, James Harden, Chris Dunn, Kevin Porter Jr. Oh, that's not the one. I thought I had it. Let me find some of the minutes with these small ball lineups and give it to you guys and let you know how they've gone so far. Let's see, I mean, the starting lineup right now is a minus 39 overall. Why is that? Well, they just got blitzed in the first quarter and lost it by 26. So that's going to happen. Like, look, if they go away from Terrence Mann and bring in Amir Coffey or Chris Dunn, I'm not going to bat an eye. I'm not going to have an issue with that. I'm not. I will say this: the Nico Batum, James Harden, Chris Dunn, Amir Coffey, Kevin Porter Jr. small ball lineup is a +9 so far in 6 minutes. Not a lot. Nico Batum, James Harden, Norman Powell, Derek Jones Jr., Amir Coffey +5 in 6 minutes. So there are two that are successful. There's other ones that are not in here, but it's still a small sample size. Let's be clear. C's said Wemby was scary when defending the rim. Dude, some of those blocks on those rear view contests, chasing down Norm, that looked terrifying, did it not? Mark Jag said, when's the new Clips and Dip episode dropping? I think tonight. Unless something else is going on tonight. Holo Dolo said, you're right. I was referencing last night's game. It looked good, but it's most certainly matchup dependent. I agree. That's the thing. You put so much into, I mean, you said it's been working out. So it kind of seems like you're talking about more than just last night's game here, my friend. We've been running Nico at the 5 and going small instead of Kai in second halves. You're not just talking about last night. Second halves is plural. It's worked out some. It hasn't been perfect. I like it. I'm a fan of it against certain teams. When you have a rim protector like Victor Wembanyama, which nobody else is like that. But when you have a guy like that, get him away from the paint. Draw him out. Make him have to guard on the perimeter. So then you can get downhill and guys can get layups again. Mark Jag said Dunn had Wemby and Alcatraz. Did he? What possession was that? I know Wemby, he shot like 9 of 20 or 22. John McClain said Norm must have been really shocked about those blocks from Wemby. Guys, it is, the dude guards half the court. It is insane. Which is why going into that game, I said, with Wemby on the court, they're a top 5 defense, really a top 2 defense. With Wemby off the court, they go to a bottom 3 defense. I mean, it doesn't always work out like that in small sample size. It's 7 games. You also have to consider locker room issues. You move away from a guy like that, and you got to go back to him. Could you lose his effectiveness? Are you going to kill his confidence more by taking Terrence Mann out of the starting lineup 7 games into the season? Again, he started 71 games last season. He shot 44% from 3 the last 50 games. He played great in their playoff series. I think that's a little bit more high leverage than 7 games into the regular season, the 6 he played against Luka. I think that's a little bit more important. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I just want to remind people that this prisoner of the moment stuff with Terrence Mann, it's a little bit out of hand. TT said that game was amazing. Yes, it was. We needed it. That game feeds families. 26-point comeback feeds families, as the kids say. Holo Dolo said, we'll probably have a good image of what lineups work and which don't after 20-ish games. I hope Kawhi is ready by then. I hope so too. But the problem is they do need to have a sense of urgency because their margin of error is so small that if something is killing them consistently, you do have to make a move. because they don't have much room for error. Mark Jag said in the second half they had done guarding Wemby. Wemby didn't want to put the ball. Well, they had multiple guys guarding Wemby because when he went out on the perimeter, Smalls would guard him. When he was settling for jumpers, Smalls would guard him. Like I saw in the first 3 minutes of the game, Harden on him, Man on him, Derek Jones Jr. on him. Timothy said, I don't think it is going to hurt his confidence. Man is basically a vet now. The only criticism for Man that he isn't even looking at the basket. And that's fair. I saw it multiple times last night. Daniel said, we got to trade T-Man. Dude passed up an open three to drive on Wemby and wound up on his ass. I know the drive you're talking about. What I didn't like about that is it looked like his intent was to try to draw a foul instead of try to make a bucket as well. Ray said LA Clipcast dropped an emergency episode after last night's games. Those guys are high on life. I bet. The official Homer podcast for the Clippers. Alfredo said, who's hosting it? Henry Dittman. Chris Kawild. Dime Droppers hitting me up on X. I was about to respond to something. Holo Dolo said, once Wemby develops an actual offensive game, it's going to be horrifying because defensively, he's unlike anything I've ever seen. He should probably win Defensive Player of the Year this year. He was second to Rudy Gobert last year. The team, what's funny is the team has to win enough, right, for voters to point out how impactful he's been. But the problem is he can't play all 48 minutes. If when he's out there, they become an elite defense in his 31 minutes per game, that's all he can affect. He can't affect what they do defensively when he's not out there on the court. So I think it's a little bit silly to look at win-loss and their overall defensive rating and not just look at what he's able to do when he's out there on the floor for his San Antonio Spurs. It's unreal. Never seen anything like it. There was one guy last night that said, was going doomer in the first quarter saying, oh, they're in the hunt for Cooper Flag. And I retweeted him and said, what's that? After the game. A lot of people gave up on this team. I had a pretty early hashtag comeback clips. And you heard from Big Brother Jake Warner. I said when they were down 26 off air, this could be exactly the type of victory they need to spark them. They're in a position now where down 26, if they get the win, then it can be meaningful and have legs and they can relocate their identity. MKXLNT said, hot take from my 70-year-old mom. I think, quote, I think people don't realize that Man is a coach's son. He's doing exactly as he's told. That's a great take. I love that. Ray said Chris Wilde and Henry Dittman might have misspelled their names. Adam has had them on the show twice. Alfredo said Wembanyama is going to get lots of triple doubles, maybe one quadruple double. Yeah, probably. Holodolo said his on-off numbers are going to be outrageous by the end of the season. There's a 19-point swing defensively when he's on the court versus off. They go from a 99 defensive rating to a 119 defensive rating. It's crazy how much worse they are without him. Makes sense, though. Ray said those are really wise words, actually. Talking about the quote from, who was it? MKXLNT's mom about Terrence Mann being a coach's son, doing what he's asked. That's a great point. Axie said Zoo is becoming a great player before our eyes. He is making crazy strides. Nah, he's just getting crazy opportunities now. I'm not going to fall into the trap that Ivica Zubac turned into some completely different player this summer, guys. He didn't. This is the same stuff he's been doing for his Croatian national team forever when he actually gets the basketball. I'm sorry. I hope he wins Most Improved Player too, but I know what that award really means. Opportunity finally. Getting the ball. And last night to me was one of the most pivotal games of Zubac's career. Why? Because he wasn't at his best. Because things weren't going his way. And they still kept getting him the basketball, and he continued to fight through it. Blocked maybe 3 times by Wemby. Didn't matter. Did not deter him. Triple team. Right-handed hook shot, bank off the glass in the second half. triple team didn't deter him. He was 4 of 14 in the first half, and I said, I love this game from Ivica Zubac because he's not quitting, he's not giving in, and the team knows they don't have an option. They have to play through him, even though he's not been at his best, even though things haven't gone his way. Deathstroke says, I got the perfect trade for Terrence Mann, but doesn't give it. Mark Jag said, fans overreacting to every second of the game. Ray said, we shouldn't talk about trades until January. Thank you. C said that Wemby Zoo poster woke Zoo up. Thanks, Wemby. Alfredo Rodriguez said, hot take. Mann may end up being a Clipper for life because of a promise. If I recall properly, Jerry West once said about him, don't trade this guy. He's going to be good for you. Ooh, I think you might be right. I know what you're talking about. Ray said, need to drop. Time to join some work meetings. Keep calm and carry on, Clipper Nation. I like that mantra. Daniel Denton said, I was down on Zoo before last night. Why? He already had 4 20-10 games. I think he needs to get blocked more. He actually played pissed. It wasn't his usual shoulders down self. He was rising to the challenge. I mean, I agree with that last part, but he had been good already this season. Guys, do you want to know what Ivica Zubac is averaging? I mean, he's been leading the league in rebounding. You're all down on Zoo? Why? He's at 17 and 13. If he can get close to that by the end of the season, Clippers are living right. Yawning Tears said Zoo faced the final boss last night. All downhill for him from here. Sephiroth. Deathstroke said Bobby Portis. God, you're the first to bring it up, Deathstroke. I've never heard this trade idea before. Crazy. Genius stuff. Jonathan Ing said, how was Zoo's body language in the first half when the Clippers were down bad? How does it compare to some of his other games when he struggled? Better. He kept competing. He kept battling. Axie said, Zoo has had a lot of opportunities with us. He's getting better at them. No, he hasn't. He averaged 7 shots per game last season. He has not had a lot of opportunities. They consistently go away from him. He has a good corner. They go away from him. After a quarter, he has a good game. They go away from him. Zoo has never had a lot of opportunities to actually be featured on the offensive end. Consistently. Not even close to what's happening now. Not even close. Night and day. I'm sorry. Completely disagree. I've watched every game. Holo Dolo said Sixers, Kings, Raptors, OKC, Rockets are our next matchups. What do you think the record will be by the end of it? We really need every single one of these to go our way. I got to look at home and away with these games too. So, obviously, Sixers at home to close out the 5-game homestand. Then at Kings on Friday. Then Raptors at home. Then Thunder on the road. Then Rockets for 2 on the road. It is a 2-game mini series. I think 3-3. That's my guess. That's my hope, honestly. Dom Hobson said, who should guard Maxey on Wednesday? He had a great game last night. Hopefully it doesn't carry over when we play them. Well, he's a really good player. He has a lot of great games, so don't be surprised. That's not a fluke. Tyrese Maxey having a great game. He's he dropped 45 already this season. Yeah, he had 32 last night. Like, bro, he's averaging 30. He was slightly above his average. He had a great game. I mean, he's averaging 30. Do you know Tyrese Maxey? He's like that. Did you see the playoffs last year? Thought he was their best player. Mark Jag said a healthy Kawhi on this team could make the defense special. I agree. I think they're already special, but the offense, I think, is what hurts the defense. What else do we got here? Yeah. Clippers taking on Paul George on Wednesday. Tomorrow. Paul George last night did not have a great game. Missed what? Was it the game-winning or game-tying shot late? Talked about it a little bit post-game. Rimmed in and out. First game. Just got back. Scary, scary injury. Glad he's okay. It's It's crazy how he does snap back from injuries sometimes. But he was 4 of 14, 1 of 7, 15 points because he went 6 of 7 at the charity stripe. But he was a +3 in a game they lost by 2. I don't know, plus minus in one game sample doesn't always mean much. I'd have to see it to see if it lines up with how he actually played out there. Hello Dolo said, I've read some reports JoJo could possibly return against us. Yes, I brought that up. Nothing is confirmed, but Sixers are hopeful, it seems. Basically, if he's not getting suspended, it sounds like he's playing on Wednesday. The question is he going to get suspended? For how long? Shoving the reporter that said something about his dead brother. John McClain said, pray to John McClain that Maxey doesn't torch us. Like, Maxey's going to torch. Like, he's going to get his. He's averaging 30. Him getting 32 last night is not some outlier aberration. C's said, did you say Embiid is playing on Wednesday? If he doesn't get suspended, I think Embiid's playing on Wednesday, guys. That's what the reporting is basically saying right now. Let's see what we got here. Philly, this is from Sam Amick. There's hope within the Sixers organization that Joel Embiid could return as soon as tomorrow's game against Los Angeles Clippers. Quote, the hope, as a team sources shared Monday, is that Embiid could play as soon as Wednesday's game against the LA Clippers unless he's suspended by then. He recently began practicing in 5-on-5 action, worked out extensively before the game against the Suns, and is expected to take part in individual workouts Tuesday in Los Angeles that will set the stage for what comes next. Barring a setback, it seems likely there is an end in sight here very soon. That's from Sam Amick of The Athletic. I like Amick. He's a 916 guy. Whatever happened to Jeff from Tarzan? I haven't heard from him in a while. Some suspect that he is no longer with us, unfortunately. And I have to think that's the case since he would call in religiously. Love Jeff and Tarzana. He is missed. John McClain said PG's injuries are so grotesque sometimes, except back when he was at Indy. Mark Jag said, I'm talking about all-time special. Kawhi is an all-world former defensive player of the year defender. Yeah, but he's not. He's going to be guarding the third toughest guy, likely, until late in games because they're not using him the same way San Antonio did. It doesn't work that way anymore with his body. It's not that he can't ramp up and play that great of defense and be an octopus out there. It's that you can't ask him to do that for 35 minutes a night while he's doing so much offensively. He wasn't always doing as much offensively with San Antonio when he was winning Defensive Player of the Year, not type of stuff that's required now, and the injuries over the seasons. Alfredo said the most dangerous games will be the personal ones. Incoming George revenge game. Keep an eye on the role players, especially rookie scrubs who could become all-star for a day. Mark Jag said, with the Jeff Van Gundy defensive mindset added to it, I get it. Like, they can be, yes, a top 3 defense if Kawhi is out there. I had them top 8 on the season. Let's look at the advanced stats here. Offensive rating. Clippers 23rd. They moved up 1 spot. Defensive rating, still 7th. Did their pace change? They were 20th. Now they're 22nd. I don't care about that. You want to know the top 3 teams in pace? Top 4, Bulls, Wizards, Atlanta, Raptors, 5th, Jazz. Are those good teams? Yeah, you guys want to talk about playing faster all the time and pace? Some people in here. Sometimes. Mark Jag said, any update on Derrick Jones Jr.'s shoulder? No. I don't have anything for you there. I don't know if they're practicing today. I can't tell you. But when we know, I'll let you know. How about Norman Powell, by the way? He has been a little bit overlooked with the Zubac's performance with Amir Coffey, what he did. I'm guilty of this too. Are we taking Norman Powell for granted. I mean, the guy had 7 points in the third, 7 big points in the fourth, and was 5 of 8 from 3. 23 points. Norman Powell so far this season, averaging 25, 24.9 to be exact, shooting 51% from the field and 45% from 3 now. Norman Powell, addition by subtraction. He wasn't lying. Alfredo's out. Axie said Derek Jones Jr. on PH. Did you mean to say PG? Because he did well locking him up in the playoffs. You know that's happening from the outset. Derek Jones Jr. will be on Paul George, just like he was in the playoffs. So I get why you're asking about the shoulder. You want to make sure he's healthy for that game to guard Paul George. I got you. Jonathan Ing said, Man may struggle against Maxey defensively. Man has traditionally struggled against quick guards. Who hasn't? I would think he starts on Maxey, but not sure. Yeah. I agree with that. You don't want Norm on him, though. Man will do his best. Coffee and Ball said, been telling you all about 20-plus points per game from Powell this season. My backdrop, I don't know, man. I woke up, I forgot to pull in my green screen. I mean, we were up till 1, and I was watching, I don't know, something on Netflix. Oh, alien abduction. Nothing to do with Wemby. Alien abduction documentary on the most well-known abduction. I don't know, it's like a 5-part series. It was pretty well done from what I saw. Hello Dolo said the matchup I'm looking for is done on Maxey. Well, if he's not starting, it'll be man initially on Maxey. All right, we're 57 minutes in here. I'm going to take a break. I may be back later. I think we have clips and dip later. I feel like there's something else happening today. Huh. No NBA games. What is happening? I don't know. Slipped my mind. Anyways, appreciate you guys. This has been a Clippers Talk Live. Morning after, as the Clippers come back down 26 against the San Antonio Spurs to get their first victory at Intuit Dome. Nothing better than a 20-point Clippers comeback. We love them. Nobody's had more of these comebacks the last 6 seasons. It's the Clippers way. As Ivica Zubac said. I'm at a Moslin. Might be back later. We'll see. Still 7 days a week. Not messing up. Not messing that up. Adam live from CNN later. Yeah, I don't think so. I won't be on the panel with Anderson Cooper 360, anything like that, or with Wolf Blitzer in the war room. What does he call it? All right. Love you guys. Be good. Be good to one another. We will talk to you probably later tonight in some capacity, right? This has been another edition of Clippers Talk Live.